Bronze Age Spider-Man podcast. Here comes the Spider-Cast. I'm your co-host, Mike L., and as always, I'm joined by...
Joshua Mervell, and today we're taking a look at yet again another 3 episodes from the 90s animated Spider-Man cartoon.
Right, and fresh off of watching these episodes 20 years ago, it's Bex Luthor joining us.
I watched them recently, just not one of them.
Okay,
because I can't count. And don't you dare make me feel bad about that.
All right.
It's 2022. Sometimes we can't count.
Okay, so we didn't even plan before the episode of who's going to review what, but I'm assuming Becca... Actually, Becca, why don't you summarize this one? Since we're pretty sure you watched this one.
I did definitely watch it.
Okay.
This is the one about the Black Marvel, right?
Yes.
Yep.
He's there. So episode starts out and it's still the guy who's the chauffeur of the Black Marvel pretending that he's not the Black Marvel and that the actual Black Marvel is dead. But turns out that that's not true. Who could have predicted? Anyway, he what? How did that? Yeah. So he's talking about the keys. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It is all so messy. So this one starts off with the Sinister.
Thank you, Becca. Josh, take it from here.
Yeah, just cut me out.
Chameleon is pretending to be Robbie Robertson, so he can steal one of the totems, the keys that they need. And the Sinister Six are all together with Kingpin leading them, and they're holding Robbie, the real Robbie, hostage because it turns out it's just Chameleon. And it forces all of the other retired superheroes out of retirement, and they team up together, don their old costumes again. With Spider-Man, they decide to track down the Sinister Six, who are looking for the final key. And the Sinister Six end up going to this warehouse where they think the key is, and there's this homeless man outside who turns out to be the last superhero that they've been searching for.
Right, the Thunderer.
Thunderer, right, the one that screams.
Yeah, like thunder.
He shows up and reveals himself after our heroes have been defeated. He screams once, says he's too tired and doesn't have any more powers, and the Sinister Six just get the final key, I guess. So the Sinister Six are able to easily capture these 6 heroes plus Spider-Man, and they bring them back to the headquarters where this super secret Nazi weapon is. It really just looks like Kingpin's lair, but it's not, guys. I promise you, it's not. So the bad guys are bringing the heroes to the facility. Once the keys are put into the door and it is unlocked, the Chameleon backstabs them and lets out some stink gas. And it turns out that he was teamed up with the Red Skull's son the whole time. That's right. So he ties all of the superheroes and the Sinister Six plus Kingpin up in this lair. They turn on the machine together and they bring back they have the scientists captured as well, I guess. We just kind of see this off screen. And they're told to turn on the machine, which brings back Red Skull. As the Red Skull is monologuing, one of the scientists is able to secretly press some more buttons, and Captain America shows up. So he also comes out through this time portal and is able to free a bunch of them while Silver Sable shows up for some reason. I don't know why she shows up after, but she does. And Silver Sable and Spider-Man team up, and they're chasing the Red Skull as he's getting away, while Captain America and the rest of the Sinister Six are still trapped in the room, and they're taking down these Guardian robots that are there. That's where this one ends. Honestly, it might be easier to just skip to the next one and review it at the same time, and then we'll just talk about this one as one big
whatever you want. That's
shitty
fine.
episode.
Okay, Becca, take it from here.
Was that?
Huh?
Nothing.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Becca,
I know what happens in this one.
Okay. Yeah, you want to take over?
Red Skull's... No, I don't want to take over. I just remember what happens.
Okay. Well, again, I'll just try and power through this because it's like weirdly convoluted for a children's cartoon. So
They all are.
After the aftermath of the last episode, the Sinister Six are like, well, we don't have any place in the story anymore, so I guess we're just going to go home. And then Spider-Man and Captain America team up and they're like, listen, Silver Sable, you don't have any place in the story anymore, so you might as well go home too. So she does. Like that's pretty much exactly how it's written off. Like it's so awkward the beginning of this episode. We cut back over to the Red Skull, his son, which I can't remember his name, and
his son is named
Chameleon, Reinhold. And they're using this secret weapon to the secret power is that he's turning his son into the secret weapon. Mm-hmm. That's what this whole thing is about. So this like world-ending machine isn't some sort of like doomsday device, but the ultimate giver of superpowers, and you're essentially making somebody a god who can then rule the world. And in the weirdest freaking twist ever, I don't remember this at all, but this this big, huge, secret Nazi weapon that everybody's been fighting over just turns people into Electro.
Yeah.
That's what this machine does. So it turns out that Reinhold is given electricity powers. Red Skull, even though he came from the past, somehow has a suit ready for his son that is the Electro suit. And then Red Skull's talking about how they're going to rule the world together. And Red Skull's going to be the king. And Electro's like, I have the power. So he backstabs his own father and Chameleon. And he starts like taking over radio stations. And he's setting up this big plan to get the United Nations together to vote to make him the king of the world. But it's like if you have
ruler.
Yeah, if you have like unlimited power, just like, and you're a supervillain, just kill them and declare yourself king. Like it just doesn't make any sense. And the United Nations essentially just are like, yeah, we'll do it. Yeah. Whatever. Spider-Man and Captain America and the rest of the 6 heroes team up with S.H.I.E.L.D. after S.H.I.E.L.D. is being torn apart too by Electro. They all team up together to defeat Electro. Captain America tackles the Red Skull back into the portal, and they go back into their time because Captain America is no longer needed in this story, so we're going to yeet him out of this timeline as well. The heroes take down all the robots. Spider-Man, I can't remember exactly what happens. I think he tricks Electro into going to reverse his powers. Into the vortex. Right, there's this weird vortex.
Because he's like, I bet you aren't stronger than this vortex that is definitely stronger than you. And he's like, right, I'm stronger than this vortex, and then he isn't. I think he just dies.
Yeah, he just kind of disappears, and then Spidey goes and catches up with MJ. Oh, right, at some point MJ shows up in the middle of the battle because we need more stakes, just so she can immediately get knocked out. Anyway, she's fine, and her and Peter are reunited at the end of the episode. I forgot all about that because it was so pointless. Yeah, this 6 Forgotten Warriors sucks.
Well,
this whole arc was like so rushed.
I love the idea of it, but it's very poorly executed.
Yeah, it's very convoluted how everything happens. It doesn't feel like they had an idea for a story and said, okay, we're going to spread it out over these 6 episodes, and this is what the arc is going to be. It really felt like they wrote one episode, got it approved, and they're like, oh shit, what are we going to do with this next? I don't know. We'll write another script. And then they do it, and then they just like kept doing that, and they like kept building on to their like smaller stories rather than having like an idea in mind for what they wanted to do and then putting that out there. Because
Well, also, it's like, the whole idea of bringing in this concept is to do something you haven't done before, or to explore. And I know it's a kids show, but at least explore the idea of like aging superheroes or old time, golden age type superheroes. But if you're just gonna use it as an excuse to kind of like bring in Electro, and bring in this robot, and bring in Shield, and bring in Mary Jane,
Sinister Six, and Captain America,
Silver Sable's there.
Six other old people, Silver Sable, just like
right. At least, okay, Captain America at least fits because it's a good way to bring him in. But everything else, cut it out. And that's the biggest problem I think we've seen with the show is because again, like I keep mentioning, I'm watching Superman the cartoon at the same time, and each episode is standalone, right? And they focus on one thing at a time. This show, again, you're watching this episode. And if you could skip through and find enough scenes to not know this was about the 6 Forgotten Warriors, you would think, oh, it's like any other episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I see Shield, I see Electro, I see Chameleon. It's just another episode of Spider-Man, and so that's my biggest problem with this whole arc.
I think the big thing is like. These heroes, these old retired heroes, don't have any place in the story. Like nothing that they do actually matters for what's going on too. Like that's another big thing. Most of the people, like if they were written out and they were like cut around, we wouldn't notice. Like the whole Sinister Six does not need to be here. Right. No, not one character in the Sinister Six actually does something of interest besides Chameleon, because he's the one that double crosses them. Right. And same with the like 6 old people. It's like, do we need all of these people? Their whole arc is just to be like, oh, we're old. It's so hard to like our powers turn on and off. And then at the end, they're just fighting robots that end up powering down once Electro is defeated, which Spider-Man does. So it's like, they don't even do anything at the end battle to like save the day, really. They're just fighting something to keep them busy while mom and dad are fighting in the corner. And you know, that's really what's more important.
Right.
And it was really like unsatisfying of an end because the whole time they're talking about how like Cap's been in this vortex and they've all tried so much to get him back. And like, that's like their big thing. And then he just ends up back in the vortex.
Yeah, that was that was so
I thought for
bad.
Sure he would be like at the end of the episode we're reunited, Cap's integrated into society because his best friends are still here to show him, and like he helps them learn to live without their powers. I don't know anything.
This is also the only time I think I've ever seen Captain America's origin, or not origin, but his you know, the whole backstory about the ice thing completely thrown out the window. Like, even those shitty movies we saw, they kept that. Like, everyone knows that about Captain America, you know?
Yeah, I don't get it. Like, Kingpin as well seems so out of place in this. Like,
100%.
Why not make it Doc Ock? He's German in this, right? He even talks, I think he, like, says a line about being German or something like that. Why not make him the big bad guy with Chameleon, and then Chameleon double crosses Doc Ock, and then you can get rid of that whole arc of like the Sinister Six having to team up for this.
Yep.
And it's also not like these like old retired folks are coming back and Kingpin's like, oh well, if you're gonna put together a team, I'm gonna put together a team of my own. It just like just so happens he's putting together the Sinister Six for the 6 superheroes, and then at the end they don't even fight each other. Like there's never really this like battle, this one-on-one battle where they're like each of their powers kind of offsets the Sinister Six and they can go up against each other. Like that never ends up even happening. and like that doesn't make sense.
At the beginning, the whole point of the Sinister Six is like, we need 6 guys. Let's get Chameleon out of jail. So why can't, like, they could have just had Chameleon break out of jail. That's just classic cliche comic book stupidity, right? There's just and
no
then it's not the Red
justification for
Skull,
that.
it's his son. But then it's also the Red Skull.
Right. Yep.
But also Electro.
But also he's Electro. And I was reading the little bit of trivia, And apparently they weren't allowed to use Electro in the series at all until this point, because James Cameron was going to use Electro in his Spider-Man movie.
Really?
And then that didn't happen. So as soon as it didn't happen, they retconned this episode so that he turns into Electro.
That's so weird. What a weird choice. Like,
totally bizarre. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it says Electro was initially forbidden to appear in the series. As the time of the series' inception, James Cameron was planning to produce a Spider-Man movie and intended for Electro and Sandman to feature. However, when the film was canceled, producer John Semper decided to use Electro anyway at the last minute at the end of the series.
That's so strange, because like Electro's powers don't even really make sense for like a world-ending plot. Like, they really had to convince us that Electro is going to rule the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and especially like the device was made in the 30s, right? So like electricity was a little bit of a different vibe.
Right.
So like him being the super weapon the whole time makes sense now, because our entire lives are like devoted. Well, I mean, even in the early 90s, maybe like, yeah, like electricity, but like there's not really, people don't have internet in their house. So I mean, I did, but
we didn't have electricity in my house in the 90s. That's for sure.
I'm just saying, like it's not like it is today, but
I know
it's
what you mean,
still
yeah.
a lot different than it was in the 30s.
Right, right. Well, in any case, the point is that they introduced these characters and they didn't use them to the fullest potential in any way, right? And I think this is the biggest weakness of the show as a whole, is that, and I think in a good show you could take any episode and watch like one shot and be like, I know which one this is. In this series, every episode seems to overlap so much that they all kind of mix together.
Yeah. I think at the beginning, when we first started watching, it was so good because we were being introduced to Spider-Man and his whole world, and it was very like one bad guy. Kind of seeing their origin and how it like connected with the world. And then once it was established, it was just like balls to the wall crazy. Let's get as many heroes as we can. We've got all these action figures that we need to get out, so start shoving them all into the episodes, so it makes sense that these are on shelves. We want to make sure that kids get this Electro toy, so make them a Nazi for all I care. We just got to make sure we sell this lot of Electro toys.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a bummer. It definitely feels more like a Saturday morning cartoon now than it ever has.
Right.
I think before it still had that like cartoony, eating cereal on the couch in the morning feel to it, but it felt different. Like there was purpose to the stories. It was a little bit more deep at times. This just feels like big fluff, dumping your toy box on the ground and letting all the action figures get some action.
I agree. Okay, why don't we jump to the last episode?
Yeah.
Where are we here? So I can summarize this one, I think.
Sure,
I watched it today. So this episode, Hydro Man, the return of Hydro Man, because he's such an important character, he deserves a 2-part episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what? Okay. So
how dare you?
So we start off with Mary Jane having this weird dream of all these, she's having a dream, like she sees like visions, like, she sees like a guy that looks like a clown. She sees,
pirate.
Yeah, pirate. She sees like all these weird things, and then she wakes up and she's in the car.
And all those weird things, and the scariest thing about it was the shitty CGI that she's running through.
You're right. So then she wakes up and she's driving in a car with Peter, and then they end up taking like a kind of a, not a ferry, but what would you call this? I guess it's like a ferry.
Yeah, it's like a ferry.
Yeah, like a ferry boat.
Yeah.
The Maid of the Mist.
Yeah, exactly. And then all of a sudden, Hydro Man shows up. And for those that don't know, Hydro Man sucks. Anyway, okay, so back to the story. No, he's okay, but like in the comics, like I used to think, when I was a kid, I thought, he must be important because he mixed together with Sandman and formed that sludge monster. Then I read like every Spider-Man comic ever made, and I realized, wow, he's like in like 2 issues. He's not very important. But anyway, so then in this story, Hydro Man comes back, and I completely forgot that I guess he was obsessed with Mary Jane. He was in love with her. I completely forgot about that. But he kidnaps her. Yeah. So anyway, so then Spider-Man is like, I gotta go find her. So he just goes he's like, I'm gonna go everywhere on Earth where there's water, and I'm sure I'll find her eventually. So
narrows it down.
Yeah. So about 50 minutes later, he finds her, and no. What ends up happening is he doesn't find her first, but then we cut over to Black Cat or Felicia Hardy, who's kind of like giving him moral support. Then she's like, I'm gonna go, kick some ass and help out even more as Black Cat, and she like transforms into Black Cat because in this version it's kind of like she's a different like physiology when she's Black Cat.
She Sailor Moon's it.
Yeah, exactly. So then Peter Parker, I don't remember, but what is he doing? Oh, he's working on some kind of what is he working on? There's like scientific science, and then Deborah Whitman is knocking on the door. Do you remember this part, Josh? I don't remember what he's working on.
Scientific science, as you do when your wife is missing.
Something to do with the web? I don't know. Doesn't matter. Okay, so then it doesn't matter. So eventually he does find Hydro Man, and he's like fighting Hydro Man, but then eventually him and Felicia Hardy come.
He's looking at he's trying to figure out where Hydro Man is, and I think he has like a sample. So he's trying to like he's looking at it through the microscope to figure out what is inside of this like puddle or whatever.
Right.
And that's what leads him to the oil drill. That's the only place that there's oil or whatever. Right. Yeah.
So then we have this really
Jesus.
I don't think I saw this when I was a kid, so I was surprised about what happened, but oh, you know what? No, I know why I'm surprised, because I did watch the next episode by accident. So
and that's when shit hits the fan.
Oh, hey, don't say anything. I can't say what happens, but this episode...
I remember.
Okay, so this episode ends with Spider-Man caught under some rubble, and he's obviously going to die, and this is the last episode of the show. Mm-hmm. And Mary Jane is all distraught, and that's the end of that episode. So you'll have to find out what happens 2 weeks from now, right?
No.
Isn't that what happens?
No, this one, MJ...
Yeah, no, I'm looking at it right now. Spider-Man's
MJ, yeah, but MJ ends up saving him at the end of the episode because she has water powers.
Oh, right, yeah, because she has water powers.
So she shoots him... she now has water powers for some reason, and she shoots Hydro Man, and with her water powers, turns him into a puddle, and now he's, incapacitated, I guess?
But Spider-Man's still caught under rubble, that's my point.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. But you're right,
you
right.
forgot that Mary Jane has water powers.
Yeah, I forgot about that very important detail that Mary Jane is now, super powered, which I thought was really stupid, but you find out why in the next episode.
It's even stupider.
Yeah, it's even stupider than you thought. So let's just talk about this episode. Again, Hydro Man, okay, he's fine, but he's not that important. I don't know if he deserves his own two-parter. Yeah, I guess that's all I can say. I mean, the episode was okay. Nothing wrong with it. But again, because I watched part 2 and I thought it was all one episode, my opinion is kind of biased. But I thought it was okay. Kind of a weird choice to bring back Felicia Hardy at this point, though. But I don't know. Josh, what'd you think?
Yeah, no, same. It's weird that they're teaming up. I know that they kind of reintroduced her when MJ first went missing, because I think up until that point there was no relationship between the two of them, right? So they were like, well, we gotta do that so we can sell the Black Cat toys, right? So while MJ is gone for a couple of episodes, we'll have them hook up a couple times, and I guess they never resolved that, so they're doing it now. And she hates Peter because he's disgusting and dating or married to MJ, but she doesn't know Peter's secret identity. So there's like this weird moment where she's like, I know that you're here to save your good buddy's wife. I don't want to get into the way, but she's also acting like she knows that he's trying to save his wife. Like, it's weird. Like, why isn't she just trying to like flirt with him and get back or continue their fling or whatever, right?
Right.
It's like the audience knows that Peter is Spider-Man, so Black Cat is acting that way because she can't be with Peter because he's already married. You know what I mean? Or maybe they weren't allowed to like write him like flirting with another woman or something like that when they're married due to like kids
censorship?
TV stuff. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Right.
But yeah, that felt really weird. And she just kind of disappears after too, right? Like she's just like, "Meh, I'm done."
Mm-hmm.
Like she doesn't show up at the end to like fight Hydro Man and stuff on the... Oh, I guess she does. What happens to her? Oh,
No one
right.
knows.
Hydro Man just pushes her out the window.
Mm-hmm.
They needed to write her off somehow. So Hydro Man just squirts her with the squirt gun and she flies out the window.
So I guess the question is does anyone know, is there like a general opinion in the public or fandom that the last season was weaker, or was it the same, or
is a bad
weaker.
shit wild crazy piece of garbage? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the consensus.
Okay, I didn't know that. All right.
Because they got canceled and they wanted to
Okay.
do as much as they possibly could before, so it just is a big mess of everything. And then like literally the last like arc is the last like normal Spider-Man story. The rest of it, this is why I didn't watch this episode, but I absolutely remember now that you're like Hydro Man and then Mary Jane water powers. I was like, right, that's the start of the end of the series. It just goes off the wall.
Right.
Yeah, it really does. I don't know. They never explained how MJ got back. They're not explaining how she has water powers. Is it from something that Hydro Man did to her? Did it happen in that lab or whatever?
The next episode will explain it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
Nope, I absolutely remember this, and whew. Uh-oh.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I guess we'll have more to say when this two-parter wraps up, right? But it was definitely a weird
Hopefully,
episode. Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully we'll have more to say.
Yeah. But
I think the problem with this last season is it's more like not based off of the comics.
Right.
Like some of the later episodes in season 5 are inspired by, but it's kind of like they're not following the stories that the writers originally enjoyed and then wanted to take a spin of. They're like doing, all right, Mary Jane is I don't want to spoil, but like this happens.
Yes, you're right.
yeah, the last 6 episodes are insane.
Because it's like, what is it? It's the Hydro Man arc, and then the next
And
one
then
is
it's
the
Secret Wars.
Secret Wars, but it's like not the Secret Wars that we know.
No.
And then the last one is the Spider Wars, and oh god.
Yeah, they're kind of
I remember
connected,
those.
right? Those two last arcs?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Because, like, I think Madam Web features in them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a thing that happens. Yeah.
I must say,
And then-
go ahead.
I was going to say, they had a whole 6th season planned. That
Really?
didn't ever happen. Oh, yeah, you can find, like, tidbits of, like, the writers and showrunners talking about what they wanted to do. Because the show does really just kind of end.
Right.
I don't exactly remember how it ends. I'm excited to see that
find
again,
out
though.
in a few weeks. Because we should remind our listeners that the Here Comes the Spider-Cast podcast is slowly coming to an end. Actually, quickly coming to an end.
Yeah.
We are going to be wrapping up around exactly number 178. Because, it's such a, as Becca said, even number. So we've got 2 more episodes of cartoons, 1 more Spidey movie, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 episodes of comics, plus a bonus one. So,
Ooh, bonus.
it's going to be fun. And be sure to join us next week, because we're going to be reviewing, check it out, folks, Atlantis Attacks! Atlantis Attacks, the Spider-Man Annuals. Web of Spider-Man Annual number 5, featuring the Fantastic Four. Spectacular Spider-Man Annual number 9, featuring Cloak and Dagger and the Prowler by Todd McFarlane, and Amazing Spider-Man Annual 23, featuring the She-Hulk. So that should be fun, right?
Okay.
Yeah. And Josh, you can take it from here.
Oh, yeah. That's right. If you like what we do here, check us out over at our website, thecomicbooksyndicate.com. You can also find us on Facebook, or are we on Twitter still, Mike?
Nope. Deleted. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay,
Nope.
well.
For no particular reason at all that's not political.
Deactivated.
Shape or form.
All right.
Hey, I did
Twitter.
an impression of Elon Musk and I got banned. Anyway, go ahead, Josh.
Okay.
It was just a parody account.
Right. You can also find all of our stuff wherever you can find podcasts. So that's YouTube, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcast, wherever you want to watch us, we're there. So let us know what you guys think about the episodes and the podcast themselves. Let's keep that comics conversation going.
That's right. So until next Monday, Spider friends,
Go for it!